Call the special meeting of the Little Miami School Board on Tuesday, December 9th, 2025 to order. Roll call, please. Mr. Gonda.
Mrs. Grice.
Here.
Mrs. Horvath. Here. Mrs. Elmer.
Here.
Mr. Siebert.
Here.
Mr. Wallace.
Here.
Please join us in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I need a motion to adopt the agenda, please.
So moved.
I'll second.
All right, Mr. Siebert, Mrs. Elmer. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Grice.
Yes.
Mrs. Horvath. Yes. Mrs. Elmer.
Yes.
Mr. Siebert.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace.
Yes.
Superintendent's reports and recommendations.
Yes, I ask for the board's approval of all items under personnel.
Motion, please.
I'll move.
Horvath. Second. Mr. Wallace. Discussion.
Yes, this is typical hiring through December, people leaving, people coming, but I did want you to note that Terry is filling his accounts payable position, so he will be pleased.
Got one more to fill.
Very good. Any comments or?
Just a quick question. I'm sorry, I should have asked you before the meeting. The effective dates
Yep.
on the employment, have they worked before, or before we approving them, have they been working?
Sometimes they do. But tonight you'll see that like Lynette's effective date is 1/5. The classified personnel employment was at 12/1. So that person is already employed. That is because that's a special education aide. Perhaps we had somebody that came in that needed an aide, that we needed to fill that position prior to a board meeting. So sometimes we do have that. If you were to vote no and that person is no longer employed, we would have to pay them for the days that they were there. But until you make the decision, that's when it becomes final.
I don't pay anyone till.
What if they get hurt? What if they get hurt on the job?
They are still our employee as far as that is concerned, as far as the legality of during that time.
Julie Rojas, is that a typo or is that right? From September the 1st, she's been working at our school?
Julia Rojas is an employee of our school, but she is working as a substitute as well in a position.
That was, I saw that and I was like, oof, makes sense. All right, thank you.
Anything else? Roll call, please.
Mrs. Horvath.
Yes.
Mrs. Elmer.
Yes.
Mr. Siebert.
Yes.
Mr. Wallace. Mrs. Grice.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, I would like to do a presentation on our program plan. You each have a copy of the program plan. I'm going to run the display for everybody else. Okay, so one thing I wanted you to note is that the program plan is in the same format as it was last year. So as you look through it, it'll look very similar. The numbers, the descriptions are different, but the plan itself looks the same. I think that makes it easier from year to year. If you go to the first page of the plan, you're looking at our enrollment update. I've just added to this chart. What I want you to note, however, is last year we added 144 students, and right now, as of 10/24, we've added 41 students. So our growth is quite a bit down. That could be an anomaly. That could be because of vouchers. We don't know yet. But right now, we have a little bit lower growth than what we've had in previous years. That number will continue to grow. So throughout the year, by the time, I don't know that it will hit 144, but we usually get a pretty big influx of students around Christmas time. And oddly enough, we get them around spring break as well. I think it's people moving into the district. They want their children to get to know people before the summer hits. So I believe that number will continue to increase, but it is, as of 10/24, that's what it was. It was at 41. If you go to the next page, this is just the same information, just shown in a different display. You can see that our trend is upward. It has been upward. We're a little bit flat between 24-25 and 25-26, but we're still have an upward trend for sure. Any questions on that?
No, that's a lot of growth. in
Lot
that
of
school.
growth, lot of growth. So each month we get a current enrollment report. Our plan this year was based upon this current enrollment report. So as we work through the plan, we will be looking at numbers. So if you look at first grade right now, do you see how first grade has 413 students and second grade has 467 students? We're going to have to do something between first and second grade because of the difference in students there. If you look at second to third grade, though, 467 students to 466 students, those teacher ratios are going to be staying pretty much the same. We're not going to have to make many adjustments. But if you go across the screen, you're going to see that there's fluctuations that we're going to need to make adjustments because of those fluctuations. This is a practice that we started while we were in fiscal emergency, where we don't just add where we need teachers and not subtract where we don't need the teachers, where we started moving people around. It is something that our district is used to at this time. Some schools do it this way, others do not, but that is why we do it, in order to match the teacher numbers with the student numbers and keeping ratios as similar as possible throughout the district.
That fourth grade is humongous.
Fourth grade is our biggest class. It's going to be our first 500. So let's go to by the numbers at the Early Childhood Center. So our Early Childhood Center houses PK, K, and 1. PK and K we do not estimate because we don't have the numbers coming in, so that will be in the future. But first grade we do estimate. So currently we have 413 students in first grade, and we have 18 first grade teachers. That gives us a ratio of 22.94 to 1. Our goal is to not go over 25 to 1 by the end of the year. So we don't want to start the year at 25 to 1, or we're likely to go over 25 to 1 before we hit to the end of the year. This is for grades 1 through 4. What we have seen in the past is we get between 1 and 2 classes of kids that come from our private schools that teach full-day kindergarten, and people want their children to have full-day kindergarten, and then they come back to first grade. So we've left our first grade ratio a little bit low. 21.5 is a little bit low. But if you add in those students that come back every year, that ratio will then move up to a ratio that is approximately the same as we typically have. Any questions on the Early Childhood Center, or the ECC? If you look at the bottom right, you're going to see that the net add at ECC is 0. So let's go to the primary building. Currently, the primary building has 20 teachers at second grade and 20 teachers at third grade. In second grade, we have currently 467 students, but in first grade, we only have 413 students coming in. So if we look at the ratios, if we were to keep our 20 teachers, we would have a ratio of 20.65 to 1. If we subtract 1 teacher, we would have a ratio of 21.74 to 1. If we take away 2 teachers, we'd have a ratio of 22.94 to 1. That's where we feel like we should be beginning our second grade year. So we are asking to subtract 2 teachers from second grade. They will be used elsewhere. So we're not riffing, we're not taking away, we're just moving people around. In third grade, they currently have 466 students. In second grade, there are 467 students. We want to keep those 20 teachers and a ratio of about 23.35 to 1. Any questions there? At the primary building, we have a net add of -2. Yes, Dave?
I'm sorry, what are the licenses again? What grades are
Yeah.
licenses?
So the licensure is typically a P3 license in this particular grade level. Now, a lot of our teachers will get a 4 or 5 endorsement, and licensure right now is a big topic and it's changing. So we will continue to see changes in licensure right now because the state has decided that having all of these, like it used to be a 1.8, so you probably had a 1.8. Oh, you had a 4.9, okay. So it used to be that anybody that was teaching in the lower grades at all had a 1.8, and the other half of that was a 7.12. So that's how licensure worked. A 1.8, you could teach any of the core subjects or really anything, and a 7.12, you were more department verified. What they did is they broke that down. to a P3, to a 4.5, to a, maybe it's a 4.6, I don't remember, a 7.12. And so, no, it was a 4.9, a P3, a 4.9, and a 9.12 or a 7.12 was still out there as well. But what that has done is they feel like it's become more expensive because people get pigeonholed into smaller areas, which is harder for districts. So they're widening that licensure back up. We're not all the way there yet. I think there's still more work to be done. Most of these teachers at the 2-3 building have a PK3 licensure. Not all of them. There's still some 1.8s out there. There's some P3s with the 4.5 endorsement out there. So we've got some different licensure out there still.
So the two teachers that we're going to be, that's going to be the -2,
Minus 2. Mhm.
if they're P3 licensed,
Mhm.
then where are we going to move them to?
So what that looks like, there's some different pieces that are in play with that. So in our CBA, in our collective bargaining agreement, we have a statement that says that if you're hired after July 15th, that you have to reapply for your job. The reason that that statement is in there has nothing about the July 15th hire. It has everything to do with current union members have the right to apply for all positions. As a district, we have to cut off at some point in time having an internal person apply for an internal position. Because what happens is it just becomes this revolving door. We never get anybody hired because we're continuing to hire from within, which leaves another position open. So our agreement states, we specify that after July 15th, that we don't move internal people because it's too close to the start of the school. We need to fill positions, not just move positions and continue to have the process of a 2-week posting and then an interview process and then fill that with somebody else internally, and then we have to post their position, and we run out of time to fill positions at the end of the year.
So why are we in a hurry to get this through if we're not even putting these jobs out to the street until the 15th?
That's just July 15th, people. We hire clear back here in February for these positions. So a person that works in the district right now who is hired after July 15th, we've specified that internal people cannot apply for that job because we can't have that rotation going. So we're hiring somebody from outside. That person has to re-interview for their position, and any internal person that wanted to interview for that position gets interviewed as well. We're just talking about a small group of people that were hired after July 15th. We have maybe 5 teachers, not including special education teachers, that are in that group. So it's a small group. Does that make sense?
It does, I understand it, thank you.
So on top of that, when we're moving people, also in our collective bargaining agreement, it says that if you're in your first 3 years of your career teaching, you cannot be moved involuntarily. So what that does is it allows people to get a good foundation in their teaching before they get moved to another grade level. So if I'm a first-year teacher and I'm in first grade, and then at the end of first grade, you move me to a third grade class, and then at the end of third grade, you move me to a second grade class, Diane, as a principal, you can see that doesn't give any teacher the ability to really hone in on that skill in one before they're continually learning an entire new curriculum and standards again. So we try to limit that as well. So when we talk about first available teachers, we have all of these things that we're looking through before we know who we would be moving. Does that make sense in a convoluted way?
Yeah, it does.
I think it's a good thing.
It is a good thing. Okay, so right now we're at a -2. So let's go to the elementary school. So in grade 4, we have currently 490 students, where we have 460 students coming in, 66 students coming in. We're looking at a -1. Now, if you think, we could have a -2, but that puts us at 24.53, with 25 as our max. It's too close to the max. So that's where the -1 comes in there. At 5th grade, we currently have 429 students. We're gaining 490 students. So that is where we need to add 2 teachers in order to get to, oops, I'm sorry, I didn't change the slide on the front. So that's where we need to get to 2 teachers. Now, the difference with 5th grade is their max is 27-1. So their max is a little bit higher than the 1st grade through 4th grade max. So we're at 25.79-1 with adding 2 teachers. Their max is 27 to 1, so that matches for us. So we have a +1 at the elementary school at this point. At the middle school, in sixth grade, we currently have 460 students. We have 429 students coming in. So again, sixth grade, 6th through 12th grade has a 30 to 1 ratio. So at sixth grade, we can do a -2 of teachers, and we're at a 28.6 ratio there. At sixth grade, at 7th and 8th grade, it's a little bit different. We have a 30 to 1 ratio, but you're gonna see at 7th grade, we have a 30.67 ratio of students. The difference is they work in teams. So you can't just add one teacher and make a difference in 7th and 8th grade because they work in teams. You had a team of teachers in order to make that difference. And so right now we're standing firm at the 7th and 8th grade because of working in teams and the fluctuation in numbers because of schedules.
And we can always add as it goes on, right?
Well,
Not
Bobby,
in
yes,
7th.
and we will. I mean, these ratios, when we're getting tight to any ratio, if we have a lot of movement in that grade level throughout this year and over the summer, it will come back and we'll say we need another teacher. But what that does is it doesn't give us an additional teacher that we don't really need until we do. The longer we wait to hire those people, the less selection that we have. But it is something that we do every year because our growth isn't very consistent. It's consistent in the average, but it's not consistent where that growth comes. So in one year, we might get a ton of growth at the high school. Well, if we added extra teachers in 3rd and 4th grade, it doesn't help us at all. Another year, we might get a ton of growth in the 4th grade or the 5th grade. It's funny how growth comes. Seems like it really hits a grade level at a time, and we just don't know what that grade level is going to be.
Do we have any teacher aides in any of these situations?
We
Is
do.
it just for the younger, or?
We have special education aides, so that is an aide that needs additional help in order to access their education. And then we have building aides, and those are called teacher aides as well. We call them building aides, but they're also called teacher aides. Each building has 2 of those, and that is the person that helps in general. They might run copies, they might do lunch count, pick up lunch counts. They might, whatever a teacher needs, that is that helpfulness for a teacher.
So when there's 25 kids in a classroom, for the most part, it's one teacher dealing with all 25?
It is.
Okay.
Unless they have students that have special needs that need an additional person in the room. That would be the reason that there would be. Preschool is different. So take preschool out of that. It is very different. But kindergarten, school age, kindergarten through 12th grade, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we're at a -2 for middle school. At the high school numbers just work differently. So we gave you the size of the classes that were coming in, but we know that in math and science at the high school, that we have too many sections above 30. So at the high school, you might have a section that has 38, and you might have a section that has 15. But we average those sections out, and if they're above 30, then we feel like we need to add. So I just put that in 26, 27, we have a greater than ratio if we leave the numbers the same. If we add both a math and a science, then we have less than 30 ratios. I can't give you the exact ratio because it just doesn't work that way in the high school. So we have a +2 at the high school. Right now, overall, we're at a -1 for teachers. Let's go over to the next page.
In the high school, you're at a -1?
Over from all of the buildings.
Oh, from all the buildings.
So the high school is a +2, but remember we had a
Okay.
-2 from the primary, we had a -2 at sixth grade, we had a +1 at the elementary, we have a +2. So right now, we're at a -1 overall.
Overall, okay.
Okay, so other program additions. So we have something called Ed Specialist in our district. Each of our lower grade levels have, actually, each of our buildings have an Ed Specialist. At our lower grade levels, we've had RIMPs and we've had help with RIMPs. Our RIMPs are coming. Is a reading improvement and monitoring plan. And RIMPs are coming to the middle school next year. And we need probably some extra help at the middle school to support students that are going to be placed on a REMP. Somebody that's placed on a REMP is somebody who's not at benchmark, not at grade level. So we're asking for an education specialist. This is an exempt position. This person works very similarly as a teacher. They don't have to have a teacher's license. Many of them do, but they don't have to. We give them a scripted program for them to use with teachers or with students that need extra assistance. So that is the first ad. The second ad that we're asking for is in transportation. We have a router, and currently he works 4 hours a day. Now, right now, he is working 6 hours a day. You guys approved that earlier to try that out to see if that helped. We are asking for that to be a permanent fix for him to add 2 hours a day to his schedule. So he would go from 4 hours to 6 hours a day.
Has it helped?
It has helped. It has helped. With the amount of routes and the amount of students that we have, thinking that we're keeping transportation at the same size, it is hard to do as well. The next item down is a special education teacher on assignment. And so remember that -1 that I was just talking about? This is going to fill that -1. So what we're looking at here, as our students with IEP numbers grow, we have scholarships. And these are students who are on scholarship outside of the district.
Excuse me.
I'm sorry. And we still have to attend those meetings, we still have to write those IEPs, and so this person would help with scholarship compliance. They would also be able to attend some meetings in our buildings. And it would also, we have 2 people that are coordinators. And we have an elementary coordinator and a secondary coordinator. Right now, they are doing these scholarships, which is prohibiting them from getting into the buildings, working with compliance, working with our special education teachers, and helping them. So this person is going to help with getting the coordinators freed up to where they can do the job that they were hired to do. Does that make sense?
You're talking about they're dealing with kids who are not attending school here,
That is right.
but they still have IEPs that need to be addressed by your staff.
That is
Because
right.
they're in our district, right?
That is right. Because we are the district of residence.
Right.
Yes.
And that's probably growing in number.
It is growing in number. This is a teacher on assignment. So what this means is it's a teacher in all purposes, but they will be doing our scholarship IEPs. So that would be their job. Instead of them working with our students that have an IEP within our building, they will be working with those scholarship students.
And just to clarify, you have 1 special ed teacher for 3 grade levels at the middle school.
That was an ed specialist. So an education specialist is not a certified. We probably
Oh,
have.
dealing with the RIMPs.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. We have typically about 3 special education teachers per grade level.
Oh, okay, I was going to say.
So it's, no, way more than that, yes.
Okay.
The last person that we need is a kitchen staff. So again, as we grow in numbers of students, we need help in the kitchen staff area as well. The nice thing about this position is that our kitchen account is different than the general fund account. And so they are self-sustaining. So the food service account would be paying for this particular position. It doesn't come out of the general fund. So although it's in our count of net program ads of 2.2, it is not out of the general fund. The reason that special education teacher on assignment is not added is because that's a position that we already have. It's not an ad, it's already in the positions that we currently have.
Do you know how unusual it is for food service to be able to support itself? Most schools, they have to come out of the general fund, and this is amazing that our school does this so well.
So they operate completely independently on their own?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a separate fund. It's Fund 006. It's set up as what they call an enterprise fund, so it's run like an actual business, so revenue has to cover all its expenses. And yeah, ours has done well for,
Quite a few years.
the last decade plus, easy. It does very well.
But again, most schools don't do this.
No, there used to be, you'd have to transfer money out of your general operating fund to support food service. but
So
luckily we
kudos
haven't
to
had to-
them.
Little Miami has
Absolutely.
done a really nice job of this for many years.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's a positive. Okay, so the program summary. So I added in program summaries from previous years, but our program summary for certified staff this year is a 0. Now, I can tell you that I don't think it will remain a 0. I mean, I'm just being honest. I know, sorry, Terry. As we
I like these
continue to
numbers.
grow, and if we continue to get students over the summer that we typically get, I'm going to be sending you an email and say, we've hit the ratio at whatever grade level, and I'm asking for a new, whatever the grade level is. Sometimes that happens in the spring before we ever even get to the summer. Sometimes that doesn't happen until the summer, and sometimes it doesn't happen at all. So I can't guarantee it, but my guess is, if it's based upon previous years, that we're going to have an add someplace because of student enrollment growth. Our classified staff, we are asking for 1 additional classified staff. That is that food service person that is not paid through our general funds. Under exempt, we're asking for 1.2. That is the education specialist at this middle school to help with REMPS. And the 0.2 is the 2 hours additional time for the router. So we're looking at 2.2 total increase. One thing that I do want you to note is that our HR department has not reviewed their department yet. We did not feel like it was fair to ask Mr. Malone to come in and in his first 2 months of work to start evaluating his department to see what is needed for next year. So we'll do that evaluation more toward the end of the year or even the beginning of next year. And so I might be bringing something there. I don't know that yet. I might not. But that is not in this plan at all. The items that are not right now items. So these are all items that we could build a case for to add right now. We have some questionable laws. Not questionable as far as, but questionable as far as what we are going to, how it's going to affect Little Miami. So our property tax laws that are out there, we're not exactly sure what our funding is going to look like. And so from my perspective, I feel like to stay as flat right now as we can is a positive. And then as we see what is going on and as we build data on these particular positions, they might be needed, but it would be in next year's plan. So this is not something, the only one that would be, that might be needed now would be that PK aid. If numbers present that we need an additional PK aid, that'll come. That's a legal piece. We don't think that adding it now before those numbers come is wise. A primary counselor, an ed specialist at the elementary school. Our elementary school had some state funding that was provided to them, and they had an additional ed specialist. When that state funding went away, so did the ed specialist. They saw the benefit of that and would like that back. We're asking them to collect that data for us before they put it on next time. That student coordinator is still coming back around. The 4 case managers. So when we talk about that teacher on assignment, we had 4 buildings who really wanted a case manager to manage IEPs in a building and help with that. From a district perspective, we didn't feel like we could add 4 additional people right now into that position. So that's where that teacher on assignment came from, to free up people that are in the building so that they can help with this particular need that they have. It's not a fix for them, but it is a move in the right direction for them. A secondary curriculum director, that has been on here for a while. We do need that. A K-3 math coach, that's something that we believe that MEMPs are coming our way. That is a math improvement plan. And so when they come, we feel like that this K-3 math coach is going to be more necessary. And then the Panther Success Academy that we have at the high school, the middle school would like to have that same model in their building. So those are items that you're likely to see next year on it as well, and perhaps have the data at that point that signifies that we'll ask for them to be.
So the answers around the property tax law, when we get them, is completely unknown, or is any idea about that?
Actually, I sent you some light reading for tonight in an email earlier.
Well,
But,
thank you.
Right now, there's 4 bills that were passed by the House and the Senate. House Bill 186, 129, 305, and 335. The LSC, the Legislative Service Commission, which is out of Columbus, they put together some projections for how 2 of the bills would affect districts across the state, 186 and 129, which ironically, and you'll see this in your email and your information, they contradict each other with what credits are for homestead and rollback and so on. So I don't know how the legislation is going to say what supersedes what. But they're estimating beginning in the first half of fiscal year 28, we're going to see a reduction of about 3.2 million. With that being said, I know it's not a good number. I think it's going to be bigger than that. I'm just saying. But that's just based on those 2 things. There's House Bill 309 and 335. 309 is actually gives the county budget commission the authority to lower your tax rates if they want to, if they think you have too much money or more than you need. So I don't know how you put a number on that, to be honest. And then 335 talks about inside millage, and that's not only going to hit us in the general fund, because we have 1.6 mills in the general fund, but our permanent improvement fund is actually considered inside millage. Also, it has 3 mills, so that's going to be limited to what they call the GDP deflator, which is, we'll call it inflation for fun, but it's a calculation that's done every year, and it's around, on average, 8% or so. So say, for instance, what does that mean? If say your property valuations went up, and this is control, increases. Say your property valuations went up 20%, but the GDP deflator was 8%, you can only go up 8%, so you're going to lose 12% of that growth, essentially. You never got it, but you just wouldn't gain it because you didn't have that increase. And this has to do with the 20 mil floor when there's increasing and so on. So and I know it sounds crazy, but there's a whole bunch of stuff out there right now that's
Crazy.
Columbus. No one, and I hate to say this, but no one really knows where we're going to fall right now. You could call any district you want and say, how much money do you think you're going to have in a couple of years based on property tax? They're all going to shake their head and go, we're not sure right now. 15 years is my 15th year of being the treasurer, and this is the most crazy I've ever seen it when I can't predict what's going to happen a few years down the road. So one hand, that's bad. 2, hopefully they figure it out. But yeah, right now, we got to go with current law. All those House bills have been passed by the House and Senate. From what I've heard, though, they've not been sent to the governor yet for his signature.
I thought they were laying on his desk.
Well, that's what I was told too, but I found out just recently that they said that, no, they haven't been sent for some reason. I don't know why. And that's the last thing I've seen on it. But I guess when he gets them, he gets 10 days to either sign them, veto them, or let them go, and they become law automatically after 10 days.
We had a superintendent's meeting Friday, and they all just shook their head because nobody knows.
Yeah, it's like I said,
Coming
it's
down
the
the pipe.
most.
It was just amazing how.
Like I said, you have House bills that contradict each other that were passed on how things are going to be done. So, yeah, your guess is as good as mine. Do I have a ballpark? Sure, but, I mean, we're talking millions here difference down the road. It's not next year, but the year after that, yeah, it could be affecting us. But as long as, or as more as I get more legislation and different things, I read and more research, and they literally have to iron everything out in Columbus and how this is all going to work. Obviously, I'll keep you guys up to date on where I think we're headed. But right now, I never have a 100% clue. It's a crystal ball, but it's like, it's a 50-50 right now, maybe a 60-40 that you know where you're going, because it's a guess. And the bad thing is too, of course, we're on the guarantee of the state, not to get too far in the weeds, but as they change some of these property tax things where they're reducing and this is where the double whammy comes in, if they're going to reduce, say, some of your property tax revenue, they're not changing those, like they say, okay, we're going to limit your growth on real estate valuations. They're still using that higher valuation to calculate your state share percentage. So not only could you get less state money or less property tax revenue, you could get less state money. Now, we're at the bare bottom at the moment for state money, so we shouldn't go down unless they change that funding model. But they're using higher in the one and lower in the other. So it can kind of limit both your revenues. So honestly, it's not a great scenario overall. And I'm afraid, I've seen this for a long time. You can talk to any treasurers or superintendents or anybody in schools probably that follow this. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, but it's probably going to get passed back to there's going to be additional levies on the ballot in the future. It's going to go back to the local taxpayer again, and that's not what I think the whole idea is supposed to accomplish. I think it's supposed to limit that, unfortunately, and change. They need a mechanism as far as property taxes go. They got to come up with a different system.
They need a plan.
Yeah, they need a plan and make it so it's good for everybody. If I knew that plan, I'd probably be a billionaire not sitting here. But it's complex, unfortunately, very complex.
Thank you.
So it might be more than you wanted to know, Diane, I'm sorry.
Good news, all good news.
It's just good news all the way around.
So on your next page, you have our organizational chart. That is just an FYI.
Is it possible that you could add the school board to that organizational chart as well?
Yeah, that's not a problem. And then the last slide is a slide that you see every year, but it talks about why we hire early. And I think it is really important that we do hire early. Hiring prior to surrounding districts ensures that we can hire the best, that we get the selection of everybody who's out there. Our students deserve the best possible teachers, and the best possible teachers are hired early. Little Miami's success and Little Miami students' success is impacted by when we can begin hiring. Hiring early is essential, so we ask that you approve our plan at the December Board of Education meeting. By approving early, we may complete the necessary work to begin hiring in early February. So we have our hiring meeting in January, where we talk about all the regulations that we work through in order to hire. And then we begin posting late January, early February.
Done a lot of work-
Questions?
A lot of work on this. This looks good.
Yeah.
Is it possible to move the approval plan to January so the new board is going to be executing during that timeline? Vote?
That doesn't affect us at all. Typically, Dave, in the past, we did not put business on the organizational meeting. But last year, we did. So last year, we approved this plan at the organizational meeting. Between December 16th and January 6th, it's not going to make a huge difference to me, so that's up to the board.
We need to, I guess I'll go ahead and make a motion to amend the agenda.
Well, it's not even amending, we can just,
You could just.
yeah, you can
Okay,
just.
we can just
yeah,
Make up your mind,
because it's-
yeah.
Are you guys fine with that?
I mean, as long as we're still in the safe zone with respect to what you've just described, like she said, I don't see what the difference is.
Because at the end of the day, they're the ones that are going to be hiring teachers and people in there. Right? We can say we're gonna hire 50, whatever, administrators, but the actual approval doesn't happen until then, so.
So I hear move to January 6th.
I'm fine with that.
Okay, I'll move it to January 6th.
Question, what, I guess a few of them. How many, and I may have missed it, we call them RIMPs,
Yep.
right? How many do we have at the middle school?
Well, we don't have any right now because they're coming next year.
We've never used this before.
That's right.
We're only bringing how many in?
One ed specialist, but teachers work with the students with RIMPs as well. So it's not just, this is just an additional help. This is not, our classroom teachers will do the bulk of the work still with RIMPs, as they do in kindergarten through 5th grade.
Make sure I understand, so. With the teachers that we have, and this is for the reading improvement plans, we only have, how many people are helping the teachers with reading plans? You say 0, but we're hiring these 4? Is that it, or?
No.
One.
So we're hiring one additional, so there's already one education specialist at the middle school. So this will be the second.
We're talking just 2 out of how many?
I won't know that for 6th grade until we get into 6th grade. You get,
460.
well, not all of them are below benchmark, though. Remember, the reading improvement and monitoring plan are for students that are reading below benchmark.
How many do we have right now that made the decision to get one?
Remember, they're not in 6th grade yet.
How many in 5th grade?
I don't, do you have any idea, Marla? Yeah.
You say 30 kids, that's it? 30 kids total that are not meeting the benchmark?
Additional coming to middle school. So every year that people upgrade at the RIMS. So it started in just a kindergarten, that group is now doing 6th grade next year. And so we're worried that we won't have enough staff.
And the teachers work with them too.
Yeah,
I hope
the
the teachers
teachers have,
do.
pardon me?
I said, I hope the teachers do work with them, but the question I have is, out of, let's say, 6th grade, 460 students, how many of those are not at benchmark reading?
Right now, I don't have that number for 6th grade. What Marla is talking about is 5th grade, moving into 6th grade. So if you had a RIMP in 5th grade, you'll move into 6th grade with a RIMP unless you are excused from that through testing at the beginning of the year.
and I'm not putting you on the spot, but or maybe you can get this later, how many out of 429 kids, students, are not reading at benchmark?
At that grade level, we don't necessarily do the testing that we do at younger grades, so we're looking at about 18% that aren't proficient.
18%. I'm just trying to think of, and this is just me kind of spitballing, I got to digest this a little bit, but it seems to me like we rather use more reading assistants.
Well, we can use one in every classroom. It is just fiscally what we want to pay for. Dave, if you want to say we want to, I mean, Terry's going to have a heart attack over there, but.
Got nothing.
But I mean, with students, it's the lower the ratios, the more help you give, it's all better. What we have to do is we have to look at what can we provide to help our students, help our teachers, and still keep us fiscally sound. And so this is the plan that we came up with. If you want to add and add and add, it'll make everybody happy except our taxpayers, because it costs more money and we don't have the money. We're already in deficit spending. And so we try to put together a plan that just meets the bear of the need. I would love to change that plan, Dave, and specify that we have, a 1-to-2 ratio for our students that are not at benchmark. Gosh, we could catch them up so much more quickly, right? But we can't afford to do that. And other districts aren't affording to do that either, so it's not just Little Miami. So if
I was just, my question I was just asking, I was surprised that we only had one. That was my question.
Yeah, so we're adding
I was
one.
just briefed this, I've not had a chance to digest it. I've talked to a couple teachers, and honestly, what I'm hearing from the teachers is more of a classroom management concerns than it is the reading program. That's why I was asking about reading, because classroom management goes to my next question here, and I'm not trying to I'm just trying to understand it myself for this. So the licensing, I understand. Where do we come up with the maximum numbers? Where did those numbers come from? Is that
Well,
state? or
they
is
are
it something else?
guidelines that we go by, and again, just staying fiscally responsible. There are some districts that have higher, some districts have lower.
I'm sorry, I'll let you finish.
So there are some state guidelines, but they are, because we have teachers in a building that do not have a homeroom of students, our state ratios always looked lower. So because of our specials teachers, because of our special education teachers, our ratios will look lower than what they actually are, because our homeroom teacher is who we're basing our ratios on. Does that make sense? So, again, it is just conversation in the district saying that, to have 30 first graders is an awful lot of first graders to have. To have 20 first graders would be great. Again, it is, you lower your ratios, we need more buildings, we need more teachers, we need more specials, we need more everything. And so again, it's that line of what is fiscally responsible and matches with educationally acceptable. And so that's where we've married those two. So at one point in time, fifth grade was 30-1. We've backed fifth grade down to 27-1 because we're wanting our fifth grade to look more like an elementary than like a middle school, high school. So we've backed it down to 27. They don't look quite like an elementary yet. They're working on that, and we might back it down to 25, where you have small reading groups and you have small math groups, and you don't see those so much in your secondary. And so that's where some of that comes into play with the numbers. But again, everybody knows that lower numbers you'll see more growth out of your students. It's just that line of fiscal responsibility versus academic acceptability.
And that's what our job up here, all of our job up here is to maximize it. So that the question, I was just curious as to when these numbers came up and who decided. So it was just one that was decided.
The 25 and 30-1, I believe that was here when I came in 2000.
Yeah, and it's
So-
partially just experience of like everyone that's in the education industry. And 25 has been like that magical number. And that even in and of itself is not perfect, but if you can get to a 25-1 ratio, the teacher is able to be more effective, you have less turnover, Because, I mean, teachers who are dealing with overblown classrooms, they're not going to stay.
That's right.
So you've got to make sure you're balancing that as well. I mean, there's just so many factors that go into it, but it's really, you'll see from one district to another that the ratios that we're all shooting for are the same.
No, and I agree with that. I know that Little Miami, we do have quite a few newer teachers, I will say. And one of the challenges is then to help them with not only teaching, but it's classroom management. And it comes down to what support, and I'm just trying to think of what support, you know, as a school board member, I can give to reduce the sizes or to give them additional resources in there. And, you know, we're not going to solve it today right here, but one of the thoughts would be possibly teachers are too expensive, but certainly classroom aides, I imagine you can probably get probably double, right?
Yes, absolutely.
And maybe we try to, or I don't want to say experiment, we want to, what do we use? Not the word experiment, we like to, there you go, pilot, that's the word. We want to pilot maybe a couple classes with these aides and just see how that helps. Because, you know, being a teacher myself, I can tell you my biggest challenge was not curriculum, it was the classroom management was the aspect.
All the
So we-
teachers, all the younger teachers have mentors too, which help them.
So we also have, it's called PACS, and it's a classroom, kind of a classroom management system. We have somebody that trains our teachers on PACS. Well, we get them trained, and then we have somebody in-house that helps them through that so that they can have better classroom management. We also have BCBAs, which is a board-certified behavior analyst. We have behavior interventionists that will go into classrooms and help our teachers. We also, that is a job of an administrator as well. When you go into a classroom, especially a young teacher's classroom, well, any classroom, not just, but, and you see classroom management concerns, that's often where you will pair them with somebody who is, excels at classroom management, or you will go in and work through that with those teachers to help with classroom management. Classroom management is huge, and I will tell you,
Absolutely.
when I was a principal, you could always tell the people who put everything else aside at the beginning of the year and only worked on classroom management, and they were behind sometimes on getting some things started at the beginning of the year. But by middle of the year and end of the year, they were ahead because they spent so much time focusing on classroom management at the beginning of the year that it bought them time in the end. So classroom management is a huge piece. Sometimes we see that extra people in a room doesn't necessarily help. Sometimes it helps a great amount. So it depends on that team and the chemistry between the people, right? And so I would say that we could certainly pilot that. We have special education aides in classrooms that oftentimes they do help it with, you know, as an extra hand, because they don't need to be glued always. Sometimes they are, but they don't need to be so glued to that person. So we kind of have that in some of our classrooms, but they are needier classrooms in general.
This was just discussion. Like I said, this is the first time I've seen the plan. I'm just kind of seeing what options or everything out there, whether it makes sense or not. And I just kind of wanted to get your input. I assume that's what this purpose of this meeting is here. And then we talked about the RIMS grades. What's the turnover rate of the teachers moving? That's my only concern is a teacher wanting to get moved. That's my only fear, is forcing someone to say, hey,
Yeah.
you got the short stay.
Yeah, they did. What we do is we put out, actually Mike just put it out last week, where we ask people if they want to move. So that might help, right? Right now we have 3 people that will move. To be honest, by the end of the year, I'm guessing that none of the 3 have to move. Now that, again, that's a guess, but because we have people who leave because their husband was transferred, or they want to stay home with their children, or they want to. So there's a good chance that nobody will have to move in the end because of just natural attrition. But we do have, again, we put this into our CBA, so it's not those first 3 years of your teaching career, that those are not the people who have to move. That it's somebody who's a little more grounded in their career that then can take on the challenge of a new grade level.
I think there's a positive to that. I think as somebody that's taught in a certain grade level for so many years, they get in a rut. So if they change grade levels, it's a fresh start again, because I know it really helped me. I moved different levels, and it kept me fresh. It kept me, I learned new things. So I think there's a positive to that.
Yeah, I would say that probably teachers are in that category that they don't like change often.
True.
And so I see both sides of that. I see once they do that move, many times they are so happy and they see that, Bobby, but at the front end of it, I
They
see
don't
that
wanna
that
do
is
it.
not exactly what they
Right.
want to do.
Right.
Other questions?
Appreciate it.
Okay. It will be on the January 6th agenda to approve. I'm just going to say here, Dan and Mandy, if you guys have any questions, please reach out, and because you'll be voting on it on January 6th. Okay? Thank you. That is all I have. Thank you
Right.
so much.
I need a motion to go into executive session to consider the employment of a public employee or official.
I'll move.
Second?
Swarbath and Mr. Wallace. Roll call, please.
Mrs. Elmer?
Yes.
Mr. Siebert?
Yes.
Mr. Wallace?
Yes.
Mrs. Grice?
Yes.
Mrs. Horvath?
Yes.